Do you believe modern technology has already tamed every sea? That's exactly where the mistake lies. Cape Horn remains the point where courage separates from recklessness, where even steel ships tremble before the deadliest waters. What truly happens during this crossing can shock even the most seasoned sailors, and you're about to find out. Standing before Cape Horn is like facing the edge of the known world. There, the Atlantic and the Pacific don't just meet, they clash in a constant battle of currents and winds. From this brutal collision were born the stories of Cape Horn dangers and voyages tested by the deadliest waters. For sailors, crossing this point was more than just a route, it was a trial of courage and survival. Logbooks recorded not only coordinates, but also the fear of vanishing in the chaos of the sea. That end-of-the-world aura is what makes Cape Horn a true natural laboratory of extreme forces. Cape Horn is not just geography, it's a testing ground created by Earth itself. The southern latitude allows winds to circle the globe without barriers, turning the region into a storm corridor. Here, phenomena were born that shaped shipwreck history and continue to represent sailing challenges. Sailors describe the sensation of sailing there as if they were inside an invisible tunnel of pressure and speed. A ship could be tossed around like a toy in the currents, and even modern vessels have felt the fury of this natural laboratory. That unpredictability is only the prelude to storms that appear out of nowhere. At Cape Horn, calm is nothing but a treacherous illusion. Within minutes, the sky can darken and hurricane-force winds can shred sails like paper. In that instant, tales of maritime disasters come alive, exposing human fragility against the deadliest waters. Veteran captains have told of desperate course changes, only to watch surrounding ships swallowed by towering waves. That unpredictability fueled legends still whispered in ports today. And if the storms are terrifying, the killer waves of the South are even more merciless. Among the greatest fears of those who face Cape Horn are the dreaded Cape Horn rollers. These colossal waves strike without warning, rising from different directions at once. Even the most seasoned sailors get lost in this chaos, a brutal reminder of the sailing challenges in this part of the planet. There are reports of ships that withstood hurricanes but succumbed to these treacherous waves. They don't break, they simply lift the hull and hurl it aside like a nutshell. Unsurprisingly, they form part of shipwreck history and pave the way for another enemy just as deadly, the ice. In Cape Horn's waters, the cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's a hidden adversary. Icebergs and drifting blocks from Antarctica lurk in the fog, ghostly traps waiting to strike a hull without warning. Many maritime disasters were born from this frozen silence, as lethal as the deadliest waters. Captains recalled nights when the sea seemed calm until the crack of splintering wood echoed against the ice. No radar or technology could predict every obstacle, only watchful eyes and faith in survival. Each collision reinforced the Cape's reputation as a graveyard of ships and men. Cape Horn carries in its waters the memory of more than 10,000 lives. Each cross marked in its history proves that shipwreck history here is not legend but reality, written in splintered wood and twisted steel. No wonder the place is called a living memorial of maritime disasters. Accounts speak of entire vessels vanishing within minutes, consumed by winds and waves with no chance of rescue. Even today, researchers catalog wrecks like tallying open scars in the ocean. Yet to understand this graveyard's weight, one must look at the harsh life on board, where survival meant enduring one more day. Living aboard a ship at Cape Horn meant facing cold that cut to the bone. Frozen masts, hardened ropes, and raw hands were part of daily life. Every detail on deck revealed how sailing challenges extended far beyond winds and waves. Sailors slept little, always in wet clothes and with empty stomachs, sustained only by hope of sighting land. Many claim the greatest enemy wasn't the sea, but human exhaustion itself. For some, enduring the torment became a rite of glory or of doom. For many sailors, crossing Cape Horn was like earning an invisible medal of courage. Those who conquered the Cape Horn dangers carried forever the honor of surviving the deadliest waters. It was a feat celebrated in ports, where tales of bravery spread like warrior legends. But the same route that offered glory could deliver ruin. A single miscalculation could end in shipwreck, turning honor into tragedy. Countless names were lost forever, preserved only in logbooks. And this contrast highlights the economic importance that once made the Cape a vital axis of global trade. For centuries, Cape Horn was the backbone of maritime trade. Each ship that braved those deadliest waters carried not only cargo, but also the economic fate of colonial empires. Success or failure of the crossing could shift prices in cities thousands of miles away. With the opening of the Panama Canal, however, the route lost its practical relevance. What was once vital for global commerce became almost ceremonial, used more to prove courage than to transport wealth. Yet even in this secondary role, the Cape remains guarded by its lighthouse and the watch of the Chilean Navy. Today, Cape Horn is watched over by the steady presence of the Chilean Navy. The lighthouse, the weather station, and the memorial to the dead are not mere structures but symbols of respect for the maritime disasters that mark the region. The place still breathes the memory of every lost ship. Visitors see that the lighthouse keeper lives in absolute isolation, facing the same winds that shape shipwreck history. The Chilean flag flies as guardian of a land where man learned to respect, not dominate. And that presence reminds us that Cape Horn is also a living metaphor of untamed nature. Cape Horn is more than a dot on the map. It's proof that nature never bows to human control. Even with technology, radars, and reinforced steel, the Cape Horn dangers still challenge modern vessels. It's a reminder that against the deadliest waters, man remains a fragile visitor. That metaphor inspires not only sailors, but anyone who seeks to understand limits. After all, how many times do we try to foresee everything and still get surprised? At sea, this means shipwrecks, in life, unexpected turns. And in this spirit, comparisons arise between the Cape and other equally deadly routes around the world. Comparing Cape Horn to other passages reveals the true weight of its dangers. The Strait of Magellan, for example, had treacherous currents, but not the brutal clash of oceans. The Bering Sea is icy year-round, but it doesn't combine the same sailing challenges that made the Cape a symbol of maritime disasters. Even the Bermuda Triangle, cloaked in mystery, lacks the consistent shipwreck history of Cape Horn. Here, danger doesn't hide in legends, but in tangible winds and waves that have claimed thousands of lives. Within these comparisons, we see how the Cape was once also a route of power and wealth. For centuries, Cape Horn was the axis connecting continents and fueling nations. Ships loaded with gold, spices, and will brave the Cape Horn dangers in search of distant markets. A successful crossing could enrich merchants and crown empires, while a disaster meant economic ruin for entire families. Whole ports often depended on the return of a single fleet, waiting for news that sometimes never came. These maritime disasters were not only human tragedies, but also shocks to the global economy. From this balance of wealth and risk emerged the navigators who dared to challenge the impossible. Legendary figures risked everything to cross Cape Horn, leaving their marks on shipwreck history and maritime exploration. Some returned as heroes, celebrated for conquering the deadliest waters, while others vanished without a trace, remembered only in whispers at the docks. Entire expeditions became symbols of courage and madness. Ordinary sailors were propelled to fame by surviving storms that swallowed renowned captains. Each name etched into this saga shows that defying the impossible always carried a heavy price. And even with technological advances, the leap from wood to steel still proved insufficient. The switch from wooden to steel hulls sparked hope of taming Cape Horn, yet the Cape Horn dangers never yielded to engineering. Even modern, reinforced, well-equipped vessels faced maritime disasters that proved the deadliest waters spare no one, not even progress. Reports from 20th century freighters confirmed that despite technology, colossal waves and hurricane winds still ruled the game. Steel resisted better than wood, but it did not prevent shipwrecks. That harsh reality kept the myth alive, embedding Cape Horn into the culture and memory of seafaring peoples. Cape Horn surpassed geography to become legend. Sailors' songs, Poems and books immortalized the stories of the deadliest waters, where each crossing was told as an epic. Even today, those who sing these shanties relive the weight of the sailing challenges that shaped generations at sea. In port taverns, sailors shared tales of courage and tragedies that became folklore. These stories crossed centuries, preserving respect for the Cape as a stage of maritime disasters. Thus, Cape Horn is not just a place, but a collective memory that still echoes as both a warning and an inspiration. Cape Horn is a living symbol of the greatest Cape Horn dangers and the maritime disasters that shaped shipwreck history. Each crossing holds records of the deadliest waters and sailing challenges that still leave us in awe today. Now, I want to hear from you. Which part of this story caught your attention the most? Which crossing would you never dare to face? Leave your answer in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep following more content like this.